I was sitting in my armchair when they came in. My son, Ethan, and that wife of his, Jessica, with empty cardboard boxes and big black trash bags, a lot of them. I could still smell the coffee I'd made that morning. I still thought it was a normal Saturday. It had been 3 months since my Helen died, 3 months that I'd looked at her things and couldn't touch a thing. The house was just as she left it. I didn't want to move anything. I needed to feel her there. "We came to do a clean-up, Dad," Ethan said with a smile I didn't recognize. "In 4 hours, nothing was left. Not the curtains Helen sewed, not my father's clock, not my wedding photo. They took everything, and I was just left standing there in the middle of the empty living room, not understanding what had just happened. But they didn't know that the security camera had recorded every second, every word, every betrayal. If this story touches your soul, subscribe. Every day I share a story that could be yours, your father's, or someone you love. Tell me in the comments where you're listening from. My name is Arthur Miller. I'm 68 years old. I was a carpenter for 42 years until my hands said that's enough. Now I'm sitting on the floor of my own empty living room, completely empty. It's 8 o'clock on Saturday night, and the walls have lighter patches where the paintings used to be, perfect rectangles that look like open wounds on the yellow paint. I run my hand over the cold floor and feel the accumulated grime where the red rug with embroidered flowers used to be, the one Helen bought 15 years ago at the flea market over in Millwood, the one I hated, but that she defended as if it were a treasure. It's gone now, like everything else. And here I am, trying to understand how my own blood did this to me. This morning at 10, I was drinking coffee when the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there was Ethan with that smile that's been making me uneasy lately. "Dad, how'd you sleep?" He hugged me tight, too tight. Behind him was Jessica with her arms crossed, looking at my house as if it were a garbage dump. "Hello, Mr. Miller," she said without smiling. She never smiles. In 5 years of marriage to my son, I've never seen her truly smile. Ethan was carrying folded cardboard boxes under his arm. "Dad, we need to talk," he said, gently pushing me inside. And I let them in, like always, because you never close the door on your child, even though sometimes you should. "Dad, look at this," Ethan said, pointing at the living room. "It's all neglected, dust everywhere, Mom's things still scattered about. This isn't healthy." I looked around. Yes, there was dust, yes. Helen's things were still where she left them. Her half-finished knitting on the sofa, her magazines stacked by the side table, her pink slippers by the door. "It doesn't bother me," I told him. And it was true. Those things made me feel like Helen still lived here, that at any moment she was going to walk out of the kitchen wiping her hands on her apron. Jessica let out a dry laugh. "Mr. Miller, you're living in a museum. This isn't a life." And she pulled out the black trash bags from her purse, big industrial ones, the size they use for construction cleanup. "We came to help you clean up, Dad, to organize, to get you back to living like a normal person." Ethan was already assembling the boxes quickly, as if he'd practiced. "I don't need help, son," I said, trying to sound firm, but my voice came out shaky. "I can do it myself when I'm ready." Jessica was already in the bedroom. I heard her open the wardrobe, the one I made with my own hands for Helen when we got married. The sound of the creaking wooden doors pierced my chest. "Wait!" I shouted. Ethan put his hand on my shoulder. "Dad, sit down. Rest. We'll take care of it, trust me." And I, like an idiot, sat in my armchair, the one my father gave me, the one Helen had reupholstered 3 times because I didn't want to throw it away. I sat there and watched them move through my house like vultures. Helen kept everything clean. Every Saturday she cleaned, everything in its place. She said clutter took away her peace. And now I understand she was right, because without that order, I feel lost. But I can't do it. I can't touch her things and put them away as if they didn't matter, as if she had never existed. Every object has its voice, its smell, its memory. And I'm not ready for the silence. This is still useful, Dad. Ethan held up the blue vase my mother gave me before she died. The one with a crack on the rim, the one Helen filled with flowers every Sunday. Yes, it's useful, I said, standing up. Ethan, that vase is not to be touched. He looked at it, weighed it in his hands. It's broken, Dad. It's not broken. It has a crack. That's different. He sighed, wrapped it in newspaper, and put it in a box. Ethan, I told you no, Dad. We can't keep broken things. And he kept packing. I just stood there with my hands trembling, wanting to snatch it from him. But I didn't because something in his eyes stopped me. Something cold, something I had never seen in my son before. Jessica came out of the bedroom carrying a bundle of clothes. Helen's clothes, her dresses, her sweaters, the ones that still smelled like her. "No!" I screamed, running towards her. "Those clothes are not to be touched." Jessica didn't even stop. "Mr. Miller, these clothes are no good anymore. They're old, out of style. No one's going to wear them. I don't want anyone to wear them. I want them to stay where they are." I grabbed the bag. She pulled. I pulled. The fabric tore. A light blue dress fell to the floor. The dress Helen wore on our 40th anniversary. I picked it up, clutched it to my chest, and Jessica looked at me as if I were trash. "Ethan, your dad's not well," she said. And Ethan came. He took the dress from me, gently but firmly. "Dad, calm down. This is for your own good." Everything sped up then. In 30 minutes they emptied the living room. In an hour the dining room was bare. I tried to stop them, but it was like trying to stop an avalanche with my bare hands. Jessica shouted orders. "That too, not that. That's hideous." Ethan obeyed like a soldier, as if I wasn't even there. I saw the curtains Helen sewed by hand go by, the lamp we bought on our trip to Florida, the porcelain plates that belonged to her grandmother, the books I used to read aloud to her while she did the dishes, everything in boxes, everything in bags, everything disappearing. And I stood in the middle of the hurricane, unable to do anything, feeling smaller, more invisible, more dead. It was when they took out the wardrobe that something inside me broke. I saw it go through the door. That piece of furniture that took me 2 months to make, that I carved with rose designs because they were Helen's favorite flowers, that I varnished 6 times until it was perfect. I saw it leave my house in the arms of Ethan and some guy I'd never seen before, a guy Jessica must have called. "Ethan!" I shouted in a voice I didn't recognize. He stopped, looked at me. "What, Dad? That wardrobe does not leave this house. Dad, it doesn't fit in your life anymore. I decide what fits in my life. No, Dad, you don't decide anything anymore because you're not well and someone has to take care of you even if you don't want them to." And he kept walking, and I was left there with those words stabbed into my chest. "You don't decide anything anymore. My own son, my own blood telling I was no longer the master of my own life. By 2 in the afternoon, there was almost nothing left, only the large furniture that wouldn't fit in the van Jessica had rented. A van. They had planned this. It wasn't spontaneous. They brought a van and boxes and industrial bags. This was calculated, thought out, and I never saw it coming. Ethan came to say goodbye, sweaty, tired. "All set, Dad. It's done. Now you can start over, clean, without ties to the past." I looked at him and searched his eyes for the little boy he once was. The one I hugged when he had nightmares, the one who cried when he fell off his bike. I couldn't find him. There was only a stranger. "Where's my father's clock?" I asked him. He frowned. "What clock?" "The wall clock, the one that chimed the hour." "Oh, that one didn't work. I threw it out. It worked perfectly. I wound it every Sunday." He shrugged. "It doesn't matter anymore, Dad. It's gone." They left at 3. I watched them get into the van loaded with my life, with 43 years of marriage packed in boxes and bags. Jessica at the wheel, Ethan in the passenger seat looking at his phone. He didn't even say goodbye, didn't even look back. And when they drove off, I closed the door, turned around and saw the emptiness, the bare walls, the cold floor, the silence that hurt my ears. And it was then, when I looked up, that I saw it, the security camera in the corner of the ceiling, the little red light blinking, still on, still recording, and something in my chest stirred. Small, fragile, but real. That camera had recorded everything, every box, every word, every lie. And somehow, that meant I wasn't crazy, that this had really happened, and that maybe, just maybe, there was a way to prove it. On Monday, I woke up lying on my bedroom floor, without a mattress, without sheets, just an old blanket I found crumpled in the bathroom closet, the only place they didn't touch. Maybe because there was nothing to steal in there, or maybe they just forgot. I woke up with an aching body, a stiff back, swollen knees. I'm 68 years old. I can't sleep on the floor, but I had no choice. I got up slowly. Every movement was an effort. I looked around for something, anything, a trace that my life had existed here, but there was nothing, just empty walls and the echo of my footsteps. I went to the kitchen, opened the empty cupboard, the empty refrigerator. They had taken even the food, even the rice, even the salt, everything. I made myself a watery coffee with the last of what was in the jar. I didn't even have sugar. I drank it black, sitting on the kitchen floor, looking at the space where the table used to be. The table where Helen and I had breakfast together for 43 years, where Ethan did his homework as a boy, where we celebrated every birthday, every Christmas, every New Year's. It was gone. And as I drank that bitter coffee, a thought chilled me to the bone. What if this isn't over? What if Ethan wants more? What if he wants the house? This house is mine. I bought it with Helen after saving for 10 years, working double shifts at the workshop. It's in my name. But what if he found a way? I needed to know. I needed to make sure my savings were safe. I got to the bank at 9, the same branch where I've had an account for 30 years. The security guard greeted me. "Mr. Miller, how are you?" "Fine, Mike, thanks." I lied. I wasn't fine, but you don't tell your life story to the bank guard. There was a line. There's always a line on Mondays. I stood behind a woman arguing with her teenage son. I waited 15 minutes, 20, 30. When I got to the window, the teller recognized me. "Mr. Miller, good morning. How can I help you?" "I need to make a withdrawal." "Linda, of course. How much?" $200. She smiled. She typed and the smile vanished. She typed again. She looked at me. "Mr. Miller, there's a problem." "What problem?" "Your account is at 0. The words took a moment to reach me, as if they were coming from far away. "What do you mean, at 0? My voice sounded hoarse, strange. "Your account was emptied last Friday at 3:15 p.m. A digital transfer." "I didn't make any transfer." "Sir, it says here it was authorized with your digital fingerprint and personal password." She showed me the screen. There it was. Transfer of $85,000. Everything I had, everything I had saved in 40 years of work, transferred to an account I didn't recognize. That's not possible. I didn't authorize that. I wasn't here on Friday. Linda got nervous. "Mr. Miller, you need to speak with the manager. I can't help you with this." And she pressed a button, and the whole bank started looking at me. For 40 years I was careful with every dollar. Helen taught me. "Arthur, money doesn't grow on trees." And I listened to her. We saved 20% of every paycheck without fail. Not for Christmas. Not for birthdays. Always 20%. For our old age, so we wouldn't be a burden. To live with dignity when I could no longer work. And now they were telling me it had all disappeared in a single click. The manager came out of his office. A young guy, early 30s, expensive suit, blue tie. He looked at me the way you look at a problem. "Mr. Miller, come in, please." He led me to a small, cold room that smelled of cheap air freshener. I sat in a plastic chair. He checked my account on his tablet. "I see. There was indeed a transfer on Friday authorized digitally. I did not authorize it. Mr. Miller, do you live alone?" Yes, my wife passed away 3 months ago. Do you have family who knows your passwords? And that's when I understood everything. My son. Does he have access to your accounts? No, well, he helped me install the bank's app on my phone 2 months ago. He said it was easier that way. The manager nodded as if he already knew the whole story. Mr. Miller, this happens a lot. Children help with technology, and sometimes there are misunderstandings. This is not a misunderstanding, I said, raising my voice. My son robbed me. He stole all my money. The manager held up his hands. Sir, I can't make that accusation. What I suggest is that you talk to your family, clarify the situation, and if there's a crime, go to the police. You can't do anything. The system shows the transfer was authorized correctly. There are no technical irregularities. But I didn't authorize it. Mr. Miller, please lower your voice. I'm not going to lower my voice. I've been robbed. Sir, if you continue to shout, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I stood up, the chair fell over, made a loud noise. The whole bank fell silent. Everyone was staring at me. The manager stood up too. Mr. Miller, please leave. And there I knew that no one was going to help me, that to them I was just a loud, confused, senile old man. I left the bank with my legs shaking. I felt all their eyes on my back. I heard the whispers. Poor old guy, probably has dementia. How sad. And every word was a stab. I walked quickly, aimlessly, not knowing where to go. I sat on a bench in the park across the street. I took out my phone, dialed Ethan. It rang once, 2, 3, 4, voicemail. The number you have dialed is not available. I dialed again, voicemail again. Voicemail 5 times, 6, 7, and nothing. Ethan wasn't answering. And then I saw something in my WhatsApp, a message from him from last night at 11 p.m. Dad, hope you're resting. We'll talk tomorrow. Tomorrow. Today was tomorrow and he hadn't called. He wasn't going to call. I opened my mobile banking app. I logged in with my password. I saw the transaction transfer to Ethan Miller, my son, my own blood. There was his name, shameless, without any attempt to hide it. He had robbed me and didn't even try to conceal it, as if he had the right, as if that money was his. I checked for more transactions. There was another one from Thursday, 2 days before he emptied my house, $1,000 to the same account. And another from Wednesday, $700. This wasn't an impulse. This was planned for weeks, maybe months, while I was mourning Helen, while I was trying to survive each day. My son was planning how to steal everything from me. I sat there, I don't know for how long. I saw a father with his son pass by. The boy must have been about 6. They were walking hand in hand. The father bought him an ice cream. The boy laughed. And I thought, was Ethan ever that boy? Did he ever look at me with those eyes full of love? Was I ever his hero? When did that change? When did my son start to see me as a burden, as something to get rid of? I took out my wallet. I had $40. That was it. $40 to survive on. I didn't know for how long. I didn't know how I was going to eat, how I was going to pay the bills, how I was going to live. And I realized that's exactly what Ethan wanted. For me to be unable to take care of myself, for me to need help, his help, so he could control me, or worse. I walked home, an hour-and-a-half walk, because I didn't have money for the bus. When I arrived, my feet hurt. Everything hurt. I went in, closed the door, and slid down against it right there on the floor, and looked at the ceiling, at the camera that was still blinking, and I thought, maybe Ethan will call tomorrow. Maybe he'll have an explanation. Maybe this is all a mistake. Maybe it can be fixed. But deep down, I already knew none of that was going to happen, because when someone steals from you, it's not a mistake, it's a decision. And Ethan had decided that I no longer mattered, that my life, my memories, my money, everything was his for the taking. And that hurt more than the hunger, more than the cold of the floor, more than the empty house. That was killing me slowly. On Tuesday morning, I got off the floor with a plan. If the bank wouldn't help me, the police had to. This was a robbery. A crime, and crimes are reported. I took a cold shower because Ethan had also cancelled the gas. I put on the same wrinkled clothes from the day before because they were the only ones I had. I found a piece of paper in the trash and a pen. I sat on the floor and wrote down everything they had taken: the wooden wardrobe, the embroidered curtains, my father's clock, Helen's grandmother's plates. The list grew. 43 years of life reduced to 2 pages in shaky handwriting. I folded the paper, put it in my pocket and left, determined. This time, someone had to listen to me. This time, someone had to see that this was wrong. The police station was 6 blocks away. I arrived sweating, hungry. I hadn't eaten anything since Sunday, just tap water. My stomach ached, but I ignored it. I went in. The place smelled of old coffee and disinfectant. A young officer was at the counter looking at his phone. Immaculate uniform, bored face. "Good morning," I said. He barely looked up. "Morning. What can I do for you?" "I want to file a report. A robbery." That caught his attention for half a second. He put down his phone. "When did it happen?" "Saturday, at my house." "Did they force their way in?" "No, it was my son." The officer leaned back in his chair. He looked me up and down as if sizing me up. "Your son robbed you?" "Yes. He and his wife completely emptied my house. They took everything. I took out my list, put it on the counter, wrinkled, stained. This is what they took." The officer didn't even touch the list. "Sir, does your son have keys to your house?" "Yes, but he doesn't live with you, right?" Then there was no illegal entry. It was probably a donation. It was not a donation. They robbed me without my permission, without asking me. The officer sighed as if this conversation bored him. "Sir, this sounds like a family matter. We don't get involved in—" "I worked for 42 years. I interrupted him. My voice came out louder than I expected. 42 years as a carpenter. I bought every single thing on that list with my own hands, with my sweat. I made that wardrobe myself. My wife sewed those curtains. That clock belonged to my father. They're not just things, it's my life." The officer looked at me without expression. "I understand, sir, but I need proof that it was a robbery and not a voluntary donation." "I have a security camera," I said quickly, "in my house. It recorded everything." The officer's eyes lit up just a little. "You have the recording? It's on the camera, then bring it in. On a USB drive or on your phone. I don't know how to get it off. My wife installed that camera before she died. I don't understand technology." The officer took my list. He handed it back to me. "Sir, go home, get the recording and come back. Without evidence, I can't do anything. But my son also stole my money from the bank, $85,000. That must be on record. Do you have a report from the bank? The bank told me it was a family matter. Then they don't see a crime. Look, sir, my advice is to talk to your family. Find a mediator, a lawyer. We don't—" "But he robbed me!" I shouted. 2 more officers turned to look at me. The young one stood up. "Sir, if you continue to shout, I'm going to have to ask you to leave." I took my list from the counter, folded it with trembling hands. "So you're not going to do anything?" "We can't do anything without evidence, sir." "I'm sorry." He wasn't sorry. You could see it on his face. To him, I was just another old man complaining, another problem he didn't want to deal with. I left the station feeling like I was suffocating. The sun was beating down hard. It was only 11 in the morning, but the heat was unbearable. I leaned against the wall, took a deep breath, and that's when I saw it across the street, a white van, the same one from Saturday, I was sure of it. It had a sticker on the back window, a cartoon dog. My heart started pounding. What was that van doing there? Were they following me? I crossed the street, almost running without looking. A car honked at me. Someone yelled. I didn't care. I got to the van, touched the warm hood. It hadn't been here long. I looked at the nearby shops, a bakery, a pharmacy, a notary's office. And then the door to the notary's office opened and she came out, Jessica. She was carrying a thick folder under her arm, wearing makeup, an elegant dress, heels, as if she were going to an important meeting. And when she saw me, she smiled. That fake smile I hate so much. She walked straight towards me. "Mr. Miller," she said in a syrupy voice, "what a surprise to see you here." "What are you doing here?" I asked. I tried to sound firm, but my voice came out broken. She opened the van door, got in, put the folder on the passenger seat, but before she closed the door, I managed to see documents with the notary's logo and at the top, my name, Arthur Miller. My stomach clenched. "What is that?" I pointed to the folder. "That? Boring paperwork, Mr. Miller. Nothing you need to worry about. That has my name on it. It has a lot of names on it. You worry too much." She started the engine. "You know what I think, Mr. Miller? I think you need to rest. I think all this is stressing you out, and stress isn't good at your age." She leaned towards me. Her cloying perfume made me sick. "Very soon we're going to solve all of this, I promise you." She sped off, leaving me standing there with my heart pounding in my chest. Documents with my name at a notary's office. What were they doing? What were they processing? I went into the notary's office. A young receptionist greeted me. "Good morning. How can I help you?" The lady who just left, the one in the blue dress. What business did she come here for? The receptionist frowned. "Sir, that information is confidential. It's about me. She has documents with my name on them. If it's about you, then you should know." "I don't know. That's why I'm asking." "I'm sorry, sir. I can't give you that information." I insisted. I begged. I humiliated myself, but they told me nothing. I left there more scared than when I went in. They were planning something legal, something with my name on it, and I had no idea what it was. I walked aimlessly for an hour, maybe more. The hunger was making me dizzy. I saw a fruit stand on a corner, bright red apples. My stomach growled. I took out my wallet. I had $30 left. I bought 2 apples for $3. I ate them right there, standing on the street quickly, almost without chewing. They tasted like heaven. When I finished, I felt worse, hungrier than before, as if my body had remembered what it was to eat and now demanded more. I kept walking. I passed a used furniture store, and something in the window stopped me in my tracks. A wooden wardrobe with hand-carved rose designs. My wardrobe, the one I made, the one Ethan took, was there for sale with a sign. Antique, artisan work, $800. I walked into the store as if in a trance. "That wardrobe," I said to the salesman, a fat man with a mustache. "Where did you get it?" "I bought it yesterday. A young man sold it to me. Good price. That wardrobe is mine." The salesman looked at me suspiciously. "Yours?" I made. "It with my own hands. It was stolen from me on Saturday. Sir, I bought it legally. I have a receipt. That young man had no right to sell it. Well, he told me it was his and showed me ID. All legal. Can I see it?" "The wardrobe?" "Sure." I got closer. I ran my fingers over the wood, over the roses I had carved so carefully, every petal, every leaf. I could still feel the effort, the hours, the love I put into it. "How much do you want for it?" I asked. The salesman looked at me, surprised. $800, like the sign says. I had $27. I can't afford it. "Then I can't give it to you, sir, but it's mine." "Not any more, sir. Now it's mine, and if you don't buy it, someone else will." I left the store with tears in my eyes, my wardrobe, the one I made for Helen, being sold like junk. And I couldn't do anything. I kept walking, dazed, and past a park. There was a man sitting on a bench with a child. The boy must have been about 5. They were eating ice cream. The father was wiping the boy's mouth with a napkin. The boy laughed, and the father looked at him with so much love it broke my heart. That's how I used to look at Ethan. That's how I played with him. That's how I took care of him. And now that same boy had destroyed me, had erased me as if I had never been his father, as if those years meant nothing. The man saw me looking at them. He smiled at me, a friendly nod. I couldn't smile back. I just kept walking, carrying the weight of everything I had lost. I got home as it was getting dark. I opened the door with my new key, went in, closed it, locked it, and slid down against the door, the cold floor against my back, the crushing silence. And for the first time since this all started, I thought, maybe I deserved this. Maybe I was a bad father. Maybe I didn't give Ethan what he needed. Maybe Helen was right when she said I worked too much, that I was never home, that I was missing important moments. Maybe this is my punishment. Maybe God is making me pay for every time I chose the workshop over my son. And if so, maybe I should just accept it. Maybe I should just let Ethan do what he wants, because in the end, what right do I have to complain? But then, in the darkness, I saw the little red light of the camera, still blinking, still there, and something in my chest hardened. No, this wasn't divine justice. This was human evil, and I did not deserve to be erased. On Wednesday, I woke up before dawn. I couldn't sleep. The hunger woke me up every 2 hours. My stomach ached. Everything ached. But I had to do something. I couldn't just lie there waiting for Ethan to finish destroying me. I thought about who could help me. I mentally reviewed everyone I knew, and there were so few left. Helen was the one who maintained friendships, the one who invited people over, who organized lunches. I just worked. But there was someone, Mrs. Gable, the neighbor, Helen's best friend for 20 years. If anyone was going to believe me, it had to be her. I washed my face, combed my hair with my fingers, and went out as the sun was just beginning to rise. Mrs. Gable's house was 3 doors down, yellow, with geraniums at the entrance. I rang the bell, waited, heard footsteps. The door opened just a crack. Mrs. Gable's eye appeared. Mr. Miller, Mrs. Gable. Good morning. Can I come in? She didn't remove the security chain. What do you need, Mr. Miller? It's very early. I need to talk to you. It's urgent. Did something happen? Yes, Ethan. He and Jessica robbed me. They emptied my house. They took everything, and no one believes me. I need you to— Mr. Miller, she interrupted. Her voice was cold, strange. Ethan came to see me. My heart sank. When? On Sunday. He told me everything. Everything? Yes. He told me you've been very confused lately, that you forget things, that sometimes you don't know what day it is, that you see things that aren't there. That's a lie. Mrs. Gable. He showed me messages, Mr. Miller, messages you sent him. They said you heard Helen, that she spoke to you at night. I never wrote those messages. I saw them on Ethan's phone with my own eyes. Then he made them up. Mrs. Gable, you know. Me. You knew Helen. You know I'm not crazy. She shook her head slowly. Mr. Miller. Losing Helen was very hard for everyone. But you're not handling it well, and that's okay. It's normal. But you need help. Helen and Mrs. Gable used to have coffee together every afternoon. For 20 years they told each other everything. They laughed together, cried together, and now Mrs. Gable was looking at me like a stranger. Ethan told me they went to help you, to clean the house, and that you got aggressive, that you almost hit him. That's not true. It isn't. Or you don't remember it. Mrs. Gable, please. They robbed me. It's all on the security camera. It recorded everything. Mr. Miller, Ethan is doing the right thing. He's taking care of you, protecting you. Sometimes children have to make difficult decisions for their parents. Decisions. Robbing me is a decision. It's not robbery if it's for your own good. She started to close the door. Mrs. Gable, wait. Please, at least listen to me. I've already listened, Mr. Miller. And I think you should talk to Ethan, fix things. He only wants what's best for you. She closed the door. I heard the deadbolt and I stood there, feeling another door close, not just the door to her house, but the door to any hope of help. I walked aimlessly, not knowing where to go. And then I thought of Frank, my co-worker from the workshop. We worked together for 30 years. We were friends, or so I thought. His house was far, 12 blocks, maybe more, but I had no choice. I started walking. The sun was already high. It was hot. I hadn't eaten anything, just water. My legs were shaking, but I kept going. I had to keep going. I arrived after an hour, sweaty, dizzy. I knocked on the door. Frank's wife opened it. "Mr. Miller." "Amelia, good morning. Is Frank here?" She looked at me uncomfortably. "He's inside, but I need to talk to him. It's important." "Mr. Miller, Frank told me that if you came—" "What?" "That he couldn't see you." I felt like I was choking. "Why?" "I'm sorry. Those are his orders." "Amelia, please, just 5 minutes." She shook her head. "I'm sorry, Mr. Miller. Take care." And she closed the door. She didn't even let me explain. Didn't even let me try. I knocked on the door again. Frank, I know you're in there, please." Nothing. I knocked again, harder. "Hey, Frank, we worked together for 30 years. 30 years. Doesn't that mean anything?" The door opened, but it wasn't Amelia. It was Frank with a serious, annoyed face. "Arthur, go away." "Frank, I need your help." "I can't help you." "Why? What did Ethan tell you?" "He told me the truth, that you're unwell, that you need professional help, and that you're harassing people with crazy stories." "They're not crazy stories, they're facts. They robbed me." "That's what you say?" Ethan says something else. "And you believe him and not me? He's your son, Arthur. Why would he rob you? For money, for the house, for— You're being paranoid, you're making things up." "I'm not making anything up," I shouted. Frank took a step back. "Go away, Arthur, before I call the police." "The police? Why?" "For harassment, for disturbing the peace. Leave now." And he slammed the door and locked it. And I was left there on his porch, feeling like the whole world had turned its back on me. I walked back towards my house, slowly, defeated, without a fixed direction. And then, on a corner, I saw someone I knew, Mr. Peterson. He was standing in front of a small, humble house with peeling paint. It wasn't the house I remembered. Mr. Peterson had had a big 2-story house with a garden. This was different. "Mr. Peterson," I called out. He turned. He looked at me, surprised. "Arthur." "Mr. Peterson, what are you doing here?" I pointed at the little house. "You live here?" He looked down, ashamed. "Yes, I live here now. But your house, it's not mine anymore. Want to come in?" He gestured towards the door. "I need to talk to someone," I said. He nodded. "Come in, but I can't offer you much. I live alone." We went inside. The house was tiny, a single room, kitchen, living room and bedroom all together, dark, smelling of old wood. We sat down and I told him everything, from the beginning. Mr. Peterson listened in silence without interrupting. When I finished, he took a deep breath. "Arthur, do you know what happened with my son, Robert?" "Yes, Robert. 5 years ago, he put me in a nursing home. He told me it was temporary, that it was for my own good. I was there for 2 years, 2 years, Arthur, until I escaped. I literally escaped. And when I went back to my house, it wasn't mine anymore. Robert had sold it. He took everything. I was stunned. And what did you do? Nothing. I couldn't do anything. He had legal power over me. He signed papers, had me declared incompetent, all legal, all perfect, and I was left with nothing. But that's unfair. It's illegal. Apparently not. Children can do whatever they want if they convince a judge that their parent can't take care of themselves." Mr. Peterson looked at me intently. "Arthur, if your son is doing what I think he's doing, you have to act fast, very fast, because once they sign the papers, there's no going back." "What papers?" "Incompetency, conservatorship, power of attorney. There are many ways, but they all end the same. You lose control of your life, and they gain control of everything you own. And how do I stop him? You need proof that you're well, that you can take care of yourself, medical certificates, witnesses, something. I don't have any of that. Then, you're lost, Arthur." He got up, went to the kitchen, came back with a glass of water. He gave it to me. "Here, you look bad. Drink." The water was lukewarm, but it calmed me. "Mr. Peterson, do you believe me?" "I believe you because it happened to me. I know how this works. Would you help me? Could you testify that I'm well?" He shook his head. "I can't, Arthur. Robert threatened me. If I talk, if I get involved in other people's problems, he'll put me back in the home, and I'm not going back there. I'm sorry." "I understand. I didn't blame him. He was scared, like me, like everyone. I left Mr. Peterson's house with more fear than hope. Now I knew what Ethan was planning. A conservatorship, declaring me incompetent. And once he achieved that, he could do whatever he wanted. Sell the house, keep everything, put me in a home, erase me completely. And I had no way to stop him. I had no money for a lawyer, no witnesses, no proof that I was well, because everyone believed I was unwell. Ethan had built the perfect narrative, and I fell right into it. I walked back home feeling like every step brought me closer to the abyss. And the worst part was that Ethan had planned it all weeks, maybe months ago. He had spoken to everyone, planted every doubt, forged every message, built every lie, and now all he had to do was sign the papers and I would disappear. I got home as it was getting dark. I went in, closed the door, sat on the floor and looked at the camera, the little red light, and I understood something. That camera was my only salvation, but I couldn't access it. Alone. I needed help, technical help, and I didn't know anyone. I took out my phone, Googled security camera technician near me. Dozens of results appeared. I chose one at random, dialed. It rang 3 times. Good evening, SecureTech. Good evening. I need help with a security camera, of course. What kind of help? I need to download a recording. It's urgent. We can send a technician tomorrow between 2 and 5 p.m. Can't it be sooner? I'm sorry, sir. Tomorrow is the soonest. How much does the visit cost? It's $150. I had $27 left. I understand. Thank you. I hung up. I didn't even have money for that, not even to save my own life. And that's when I understood that this hadn't just been planned, it had been perfect. Ethan had left me with no money, no friends, no options, no way out. And now he just had to wait for me to give up or disappear, whichever came first. On Thursday morning, I was sitting on the living room floor. I hadn't slept. The hunger was a living animal in my stomach. I had spent the whole night on my phone, looking up how to download videos from security cameras, tutorial after tutorial. None of them worked. They were all for different cameras, for apps I didn't have, for passwords I didn't know. At 7 in the morning, I gave up, closed my eyes, and that's when the doorbell rang. My heart leapt. Ethan, Jessica, the police. I got up slowly, walked to the door, looked through the peephole. A young woman, blue uniform, clipboard in hand. I didn't know her. I opened it just a crack, with the chain still on. Yes? Good morning, Mr. Arthur Miller. Yes, that's me. I'm Sarah Collins from Total Security. I'm here to do the monthly check on your security camera. I was frozen. Monthly check? Yes, sir. It's part of the contract. A technical check every 30 days. Sarah pulled out a tablet, tapped the screen. It says here, your wife, Mrs. Helen Miller, signed up for the service 13 months ago. Camera with cloud recording. Maintenance included. Helen, of course. She was always so meticulous about those things, always thought of everything. And I never paid attention, never asked how it worked, never cared. Until now, I thought it had been cancelled. No, sir, the service is prepaid for 2 years. We have 11 months left. I opened the door completely, unhooked the chain. Come in, please, come in. Sarah entered and stopped. She looked around, the empty walls, the bare floor, the marks where the furniture used to be. Are you moving, Mr. Miller? Her voice held genuine concern, and that broke me. I fell apart, right there, in front of a stranger. I'm not moving, I said in a broken voice. I was robbed. My son, my own son, came on Saturday and took everything. He emptied my house, emptied my bank account, left me with nothing, and no one believes me. The police don't believe me. My neighbors don't believe me. My friends don't believe me. They all think I'm crazy, that I'm senile, that I'm making things up, but I'm not. It happened, it all happened exactly as I say, and the only proof I have is up there. I pointed to the camera. In that camera that I don't know how to use, my whole body was shaking. Sarah said nothing, just looked at me, and I thought she was going to leave, that she was going to run out like everyone else, but she didn't. She came closer to me, put her hand on my shoulder. Mr. Miller, please sit down. There was nowhere to sit. I sat on the floor. She sat across from me, crossed her legs, set her clipboard aside. "Tell me everything," she said, "from the beginning." And I told her everything, every detail. Saturday, the boxes, Jessica, the wardrobe, the bank, the police, the notary's office, the neighbors, Mr. Peterson, everything. I spoke for 20 minutes straight, and Sarah listened, without interrupting, without judging. She just listened. When I finished, she nodded slowly. "Mr. Miller, I can get that recording." "You can?" My voice sounded desperate. "Yes. The footage is saved to the cloud for 90 days, then it's automatically deleted, but you were lucky. Today is Thursday. Saturday was 5 days ago. It's all still there. Can you show it to me now? I need my computer. It's in the van." "But there's something else." She took out her phone. "I'm going to do something I'm technically not supposed to do. I'm going to give you full access to the account, username and password, so you can log in whenever you want, see the recordings, download them, whatever you need." "Why?" I asked her. "Why are you helping me?" Sarah looked down at the floor, at the empty walls. "My grandfather," she said finally. 3 years ago, his son put him in a nursing home. Took everything from him, the house, the savings, everything, and by the time we realized, it was too late. My grandfather died in there, alone, sad, convinced his family had abandoned him. And I did nothing because I was young, because I didn't understand, because I thought the adults knew what they were doing. She looked me straight in the eye. "I'm not going to make the same mistake twice." She went out to her van, came back with a laptop, sat on the floor with me, opened the computer, typed quickly. Here it is. "See this icon? It's the recording from Saturday." She clicked, and there was my living room still empty. The timestamp in the corner said 09:47 a.m. And then they came in, Ethan and Jessica, with the boxes, with the bags, and it all started again. But this time I was watching it from the outside, like a movie, as if it were happening to someone else. "Do you want to watch the whole thing?" Sarah asked. "It's almost 4 hours long." No, I couldn't. Not yet. But I need a copy." "Can you give me a copy?" "Of course. Do you have a USB drive?" I didn't. "It's okay, I can leave you one, and I'm also going to show you how to download the videos directly to your phone." She spent the next 30 minutes teaching me, slowly, patiently, as if it were the most important thing in the world. "There you go," she said finally. "Now you can log in from anywhere, see everything, download everything. Sarah, I don't know how to thank you. Don't thank me yet. This is just evidence. Now you need to do something with it." "What?" "Go to a lawyer, not the police. A lawyer, a good one who specializes in family law, and show them this. I don't have money for a lawyer." Sarah frowned. She thought for a moment. "Let me make some calls. I know people. Maybe someone can help you pro bono or at a discount." "You do that?" "Yes." She stood up, packed, her laptop. "Mr. Miller, I'll be back tomorrow with information, with names, with something. Don't give up, do you hear me? Don't give up." And she left, leaving me there on the floor with the USB drive in my hand. And for the first time in days, I felt something small, fragile, but real, hope. That afternoon I just stared at the red USB drive, small, but it held everything, the truth, my salvation. I connected it to my phone with an adapter Sarah had left me. I opened the video and forced myself to watch it, all 4 hours. I saw Ethan packing Helen's things carelessly, tossing them, laughing. I saw Jessica trying on Helen's jewelry in front of the mirror, admiring herself. I saw when they took the wardrobe, when I begged them not to take it, and I saw my broken face, pleading, pathetic. That's how I looked, that's how destroyed I was. I kept watching, and then came a part I didn't remember. Ethan and Jessica in the kitchen, talking low, thinking I couldn't hear them because I was in the bedroom crying on Helen's empty bed. "Did you sign the papers yet?" Jessica asked. "I have an appointment at the notary's tomorrow. File them on Monday. And if he refuses, he won't be able to refuse." I have everything. The fake messages, the neighbor's testimonies, the medical certificate. What medical certificate? I paid Dr. Ramirez $1,000. He signed a paper saying my dad has advanced senile dementia, that he can't make decisions, that he needs permanent care. Jessica laughed. You're a genius. No, I'm just practical. In 2 months, he'll be in St. Raphael's nursing home, and this house will be ours. I've already talked to a buyer. They're offering us $300,000. We split it 50-50. And your dad? What about him? He'll be fine at the home. He'll have food, a roof over his head. What else does he need? My blood ran cold. I paused the video, rewound it, listened again. I paid Dr. Ramirez $1,000, a fake medical certificate. That was what I saw at the notary's office, documents to have me declared incompetent, to steal my house, to erase me. I kept watching, and another scene appeared. Ethan, alone. I had gone out to the yard, I don't remember why, and he picked up my phone. The one I had left on the table. He unlocked it. My password was simple, Helen's date of birth. Ethan knew it. He went into WhatsApp and started writing messages to himself from my phone. Helen talks to me. I hear her at night. I know she's here. I know she hasn't left. She tells me things, asks me to go with her, message after message, all dated from 3 weeks ago, and then he deleted them from my phone. But they remained on his as evidence of my supposed madness. I saw him do it all calmly, with precision, as if he had practiced, and I realized this wasn't planned in weeks. It was planned in months, maybe since before Helen died, maybe since she was diagnosed with kidney failure. Ethan had been waiting, preparing, building his plan, and I never saw it coming. I turned off the video. I couldn't watch anymore. My hands were shaking. My heart was beating so fast I thought I was going to have a heart attack. But I had to calm down. I had to think. Now I had proof. Real, irrefutable proof. I had Ethan confessing. I had the fake medical certificate. I had everything. But would it be enough? Would they believe me now? I lay on the floor, closed my eyes, and thought of Helen, of what she would do. Arthur, she would tell me, don't give up, never give up. And I smiled, a small, sad smile, because Helen always knew I needed a push, that I was a coward sometimes, and that's why she installed that camera. Not for security, but for me. Because she knew that one day I would need it. As if she had seen all this coming. As if she had known what Ethan was capable of. And she left me a way to defend myself, even after she was gone. Helen was still looking out for me. On Friday morning, Sarah came back. She rang the bell at 9 o'clock sharp. I was already awake, waiting for her. I opened the door. She came in with a small but real smile. Mr. Miller, I have news. Good news? That depends. I found a lawyer. His name is David Chen. He's good, very good. He specializes in elder abuse cases, and he's agreed to see you. How much does he charge? Nothing for now. He said he wants to see the evidence first. If the case is solid, he'll work on a contingency fee, meaning he only gets paid if you win. I couldn't believe it. When can I see him? Today at 3 p.m. at his office. She gave me the address. I saved it on my phone. Sarah, Don't say anything, Mr. Miller. Just go and take the USB drive. Show him everything. I nodded. She turned to leave. Sarah. Yes. Thank you, seriously. I don't know what I would have done without you. She smiled. You would have found another. Way. Men like you always do. I spent the rest of the morning getting ready. I showered. I put on the least wrinkled clothes I had. I shaved with an old razor I found. I looked at myself in the mirror. I still looked like a homeless man, but at least a clean one. I left the house at 2. The lawyer's office was far. I had to take 2 buses, $27. That was all my money. The fare cost $5 each way, $10 round trip. I'd have $17 left, enough for a cheap meal maybe, for 2 more days. I got on the first bus, sat in the back, and during the whole ride, I mentally rehearsed what I was going to say, how I was going to explain it, how I was going to convince the lawyer that my case was worth it. Because if he rejected me, I had no plan B. There was no one else. This was my last chance. I arrived at the building at 3:10, an old 5-story building with no elevator. The office was on the 4th floor. I went up slowly. My knees ached. I arrived. Sweating, I knocked on the door. "Come in." I entered. The office was small, 2 desks, filing cabinets up to the ceiling, and a man in his 50s sitting behind one of the desks. Glasses, grey beard, white shirt with no tie. "Mr. Miller." "Yes, sir." "David Chen. Nice to meet you. Have a seat." I sat in a hard, uncomfortable plastic chair. "Sarah told me about your situation, but I want to hear it from you, in your own words. Take your time. Tell me everything." And I did, from the beginning. Saturday, Jessica, Ethan, the bank, the police, the neighbors, Mr. Peterson, everything. David listened, taking notes without interrupting. When I finished, he put down his pen. "You have the recording?" "Yes." I took out the USB drive. I gave it to him. David connected it to his computer, opened the video, and we started watching together in silence. I saw my living room being emptied again. I saw Ethan and Jessica working, laughing, talking. David fast-forwarded to the kitchen part. The conversation about the papers, the fake certificate, the nursing home, selling the house. We heard everything. When it was over, David rewound it, played that part, again took more notes. "This is gold," he said finally. "What? This recording is exactly what we need. We have conspiracy, fraud, forgery of documents, theft. We have everything. So, you believe me?" "Mr. Miller, it's not a matter of believing you. It's a matter of evidence. And you have solid, irrefutable evidence." I felt a weight lift from my chest. "What do we do now?" "Now, Mr. Miller, we fight back." David stood up, went to one of the filing cabinets, pulled out a folder, put it on his desk. "First, we're going to file a criminal complaint against Ethan and Jessica for theft, fraud, and forgery. With this recording, the district attorney's office will have no choice but to investigate. And my money, my house? We're going to request injunctive relief to freeze Ethan's accounts, to prevent him from selling the house, to protect your assets while the investigation is ongoing. How long does that take? It depends. Maybe a week, maybe 2, but we have to act fast. If Ethan has already started the conservatorship process, we have to stop it before a judge signs off. How do we stop it? With a real medical certificate from a real doctor, certifying that you are in full mental capacity, that you don't have dementia, that you can make your own decisions. Do you know someone? Yes. I have contacts. I can get you an appointment for tomorrow. Saturday. It's urgent. David started typing on his computer, fast, focused. "Mr. Miller, I need you to answer something honestly. Do you want to salvage your relationship with your son, or do you want justice?" The question hit me. I was quiet, thinking. What did I want? Did I want Ethan to be my son again? Did I want to forgive him? Did I want to forget all this? No, I couldn't. Not after what I saw on that recording. Not after hearing him plan my confinement, my disappearance, my living death. "I want justice," I said finally. "I want him to pay for what he did." David nodded. "Good, because this is going to get ugly. Ethan will hire lawyers. He'll fight. He'll say the recording is fake, that you manipulated it. He'll do everything he can to destroy your credibility. Are you prepared for that?" "Yes." "Are you sure?" "Yes, I'm sure. We spent the next 2 hours going over everything. David made copies of the video. He put the USB drive in his safe. He had me sign papers, authorizations, powers of attorney. Done, he said finally. Monday, first thing, we filed the complaint, and we're going to ask for a restraining order so Ethan can't come near you or your house. You can do that? With this evidence, yes. The judge will have no choice. I stood up to leave, but David stopped me. Mr. Miller, one more thing. I need you to see something. He played the video again, but he fast-forwarded to a part I hadn't seen, the very end. When Ethan and Jessica had already taken almost everything, they were at the door, about to leave, and Ethan turned, looked straight at the camera, and smiled. A cold, calculating smile, and he raised his hand as if waving goodbye. He knew, David said. He knew the camera was there. He knew it was recording, and he didn't care. I was frozen. Why? Why would he do that? Because he thought you would never be able to access the recording, because Helen had set the passwords and you didn't know about technology, because he assumed you were too old, too stupid, too useless to defend yourself. David paused the video right on Ethan's smile. That was his mistake, his arrogance, and that's what's going to bring him down. I swallowed hard. That smile, that mockery, that absolute contempt, it broke something inside me that I didn't know was still whole. Is there anything else on the video? I asked in a hoarse voice. Anything worse? David looked at me seriously. Yes, but I think you've seen enough for today. Show me everything. I need to see everything, David sighed. He fast-forwarded the video again to the end, after they had left the empty house and me there, sitting on the floor crying. I saw myself get up, walk to the bedroom, and lie down on the floor without a mattress, without a pillow, just the cold floor. And I cried for hours. The camera recorded it all. My pain, my humiliation, my complete breakdown. Turn it off, I said. I've seen enough. David closed the laptop. Mr. Miller, what your son did to you isn't just theft. It's psychological torture. It's abuse. It's the systematic destruction of a person, and we're going to make sure a judge sees it that way. Do you think we'll win? With this evidence, there's no way we can lose. But I'm warning you, winning in court isn't going to bring your son back. It's not going to repair the relationship. That's broken. Probably forever. I left David's office feeling different, stronger, but also sadder, because now I knew with absolute certainty that Ethan didn't love me, that maybe he never loved me, that it was all a lie, or maybe it was real once when he was a child, and something changed, something I didn't see, something I caused. Or maybe my son simply became someone I didn't know, a stranger, a monster. I went down the stairs slowly, left the building, and there at the entrance I stopped because across the street, parked, was the white van, Jessica's, and she was inside, watching me. We stayed like that, looking at each other for seconds that felt like hours. And then she started the engine and drove away, leaving me there with the certainty that they had been following me, that they knew where I was, that they knew what I was doing. I took out my phone, dialed David. He answered on the second ring. Mr. Miller, they were waiting for me outside your office, Jessica. Silence. She's gone now. Yes. Good. Listen, that confirms they're nervous, that they know you're doing something, but they don't know what yet. So you have to be careful. Don't go out alone at night. Keep your door locked. Don't open it for anyone you don't know. Understood? Understood. And Mr. Miller, one more thing. Yes, the worst is yet to come. When we file the complaint on Monday, Ethan is going to attack. He's going to try to destroy you. It's going to be brutal. Be prepared. I hung up and walked to the bus stop, feeling the weight of what was coming, but also feeling for the first time in days that I wasn't alone, that I had weapons, that I had a chance, and that I was going to fight until the end. I got home that Friday night feeling something strange in my chest, something I hadn't felt in days. It was as if the air was lighter, as if I could breathe again. I had proof. I had a lawyer. I had a plan. I was no longer helpless, no longer the silent victim Ethan thought I was. I heated water on the stove, made myself a tea with an old tea bag I found, sat on the floor and looked at my phone. Ethan's number there, saved as Ethan, with a heart emoji. Helen had put it like that years ago and I never changed it. My fingers trembled over the screen. Should I call him? Should I give him one last chance? Or should I go straight to war? David told me to wait until Monday, not to do anything that could alert them, but something inside me needed to hear Ethan's voice. I needed to give him a chance to explain, to repent, to be my son again, even if just for a second. I dialed the number. It rang once, twice, 3, 4. I thought he wouldn't answer, but on the 5th ring, he picked up. "Dad," his voice sounded different, cautious. "Ethan, we need to talk." Silence, long, heavy. "Dad, now's not a good time." "Yes, it is a good time. It's the only time." I took a deep breath. "I know everything, Ethan. I know what you did. I know what you planned. I have proof." Another silence, but this one was different. I could feel his panic through the phone. "What are you talking about?" "The security camera. The one that recorded everything on Saturday. The one that recorded your conversation with Jessica. The one that recorded you faking messages on my phone. I have everything." I heard his breathing quicken. "Dad, Tell me the truth. For once in your life, tell me the truth." "Dad, it was a misunderstanding." His voice changed. Now it sounded soft, pleading, like when he was a boy and got into trouble. "Everything got out of control. I just wanted to help you. The house was so neglected. You weren't well, and Jessica, yes, she convinced me it was for the best, but I regret it. I swear I regret it." "You regret it?" "Yes, Dad, so much. And I'm going to give you everything back, the things, the money, everything. Just give me time." "Time for what? To sell my things? To sign the conservatorship papers? To put me in a nursing home?" "No, Dad, I never wanted that. That was Jessica's idea. She pressured me, she manipulated me, but I see it now. I've opened my eyes and I'm going to fix everything, I promise you." I wanted to believe him. God, how I wanted to believe him. But something in his voice didn't sound real. It sounded rehearsed, like he was reading a script. "Ethan, if you really want to fix things, come to the house tomorrow at 10 in the morning. Bring everything you took, and we'll talk." "Tomorrow? I can't, Dad. I have things to do. What things are more important than this?" Okay. I'll be there tomorrow at 10. I'll be there with everything." "I promise, you promise. I swear on Mum's life, on Helen's. I swear I'll fix everything." And he hung up, leaving me there with the phone in my hand, with his promise hanging in the air. He swore on Helen. Those words gave me hope, because Ethan never swore on his mother's name in vain. Never. Maybe, just maybe, there was a chance to save something, to get my son back, for this nightmare to end without lawyers or courts, as a family. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the floor, staring at the door, imagining how it would be. Ethan would arrive with the boxes, with my things, with the wardrobe, with everything. He would ask for forgiveness, he would cry, and I would forgive him. Because that's what fathers do. They always forgive. Helen used to tell me that when Ethan was a boy and misbehaved, "Arthur, children make mistakes, but we forgive them because they're our blood, and you don't abandon your blood." Maybe Helen was right. Maybe Ethan had a good heart deep down and had just lost his way. Maybe Jessica had manipulated him like he said. Maybe there was still time to save him, to save us. I clung to that hope like a drowning man to a piece of wood because it was all I had. On Saturday, I woke up at 6 in the morning, even though I hadn't slept. I showered, shaved again, put on the best clothes I had left. I went out with the $17 I had. I bought bread, I bought coffee, I even bought 2 plastic cups for when Ethan arrived. To have coffee together like we used to, like when he would come over on Sundays and we'd sit in the garden and talk about sports, about life, about everything. I went back home, made the coffee, put the bread on a plate, and sat on the porch to wait. It was 7:30, 2.5 hours to go, but I didn't care. I would wait as long as it took because my son was coming, my son was going to fix everything, and everything was going to be okay. 8 o'clock passed, 9:30. I was still sitting there, watching the street. Every car that passed made me jump. It's him, it's Ethan. But no, it wasn't. 10 o'clock, the agreed-upon time. Nothing. 10:10, 10:20. I started to feel a knot in my stomach. Maybe he's late, maybe traffic, maybe he had a problem. I took out my phone, dialed. Straight to voicemail. The number you have dialed is currently switched off or out of the service area. I dialed again. Same message. Again and again and again. 10 times. 20. All to voicemail. 11 o'clock. The coffee was cold. The bread was hard. And Ethan didn't arrive. He wasn't going to arrive. And I knew it. Deep down, I always knew it, but I didn't want to accept it. I didn't want to see the truth that was right in front of me. At 11:30, my phone buzzed. A message from Ethan. I opened it with trembling hands. "Dad, I spoke to a lawyer. He told me the recording is not admissible as evidence if it was obtained without the consent of everyone present. He told me you have nothing on me, that everything I took was with your permission, that the messages you sent prove you're not well. So you better just leave this alone, for your own good and for mine. Don't contact me again." I read the message 3 times, 4, 5. The words blurred, disappeared, reappeared. "You have nothing on me. Don't contact me again. My son, my own blood, telling me I had nothing, that I was beaten, that I should give up." I got up from the porch, went into the house, threw out the cold coffee, threw out the hard bread, and sat on the floor with the phone in my hand, reading the message over and over. I dialed David. I needed to talk to someone. I needed him to tell me that Ethan was lying, that the recording was admissible, that I wasn't lost. He answered on the 3rd ring. "Mr. Miller. David, Ethan sent me a message. He says the recording is useless." "That's a lie," he interrupted me, firm, confident. "The recording was made in your own home with your own camera. You don't need anyone's consent. It's completely legal, and it's admissible evidence in any court." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." Ethan's lawyer lied to him, or Ethan is lying to you, probably both. "This is just an intimidation tactic, nothing more," I breathed. "So we're still on with the plan?" "Yes, Monday, first thing. Don't worry, Mr. Miller. Ethan is scared, that's why he's playing dirty. But we have everything. He has nothing. Thank you, David. Don't thank me yet. This is just the beginning." I hung up and sat there on the floor with my back against the wall. And that's when I understood. I really understood. Ethan had no intention of returning anything. Friday's call was an act. His apologies were lies. His promise was a trap. He made me wait all day. He made me hope. He made me believe there was still something of my son left in there, just to destroy me again, just to show me that he was in control, that he could play with me, that I was a puppet and he was pulling the strings. And the worst part of it all was that it worked. I fell for it like an idiot, like a desperate old man. I clung to hope, as if it were real, and he snatched it away with a cold, calculated, cruel message. I closed my eyes and saw Ethan as a child, 5 years old, crying because he fell off his bike, and me there, cleaning his knee, drying his tears. "It's okay. Son, it's okay. Dad's here." And he would hug me tight, as if I were his hero, his protector, his whole world. When did that little boy turn into the man who had just destroyed me with a text message? When did he stop seeing me as his dad and start seeing me as a burden, as something to be eliminated? I opened my eyes and looked at my phone. The message still there. Don't contact me again. And something inside me broke. It wasn't sadness. It wasn't pain. It was rage. Pure, searing, devastating rage. Ethan thought he had nothing on him. He thought I was alone, that I was beaten, but he was wrong, because now I didn't want to forgive him. I didn't want to save the relationship. I didn't want my son back, because that son no longer existed. Maybe he never existed. And the only thing left was to make him pay. On Sunday morning, someone knocked on the door early, too early. It was 7 a.m. I looked through the peephole. It was Sarah. I opened it. "Good morning, Mr. Miller." "Sarah, what are you doing here so early? I brought someone you need to meet." She stepped aside, and behind her appeared a man, mid-50s, dark suit, blue tie, leather briefcase in hand. It was David, Mr. Miller. "I know we agreed on Monday, but something came up and I had to come today. Can we come in?" "Of course, come in." They entered, sat on the floor because there was nowhere else. Sarah took a laptop out of her bag. David opened his briefcase. "Mr. Miller." "I did some research on Jessica," David said, "and I found something big." My heart sped up. "What did you find?" David took out a folder, opened it. Documents, photos, screenshots. Jessica Clark, 32 years old, married 3 times. All 3 marriages ended the same way. Older husbands, destroyed families, assets transferred, and her disappearing with everything. He showed me photos, older men, 60s, 70s, some in wheelchairs, others with canes, all with the same empty, broken look in their eyes, just like mine. Jessica is a professional con artist. She specializes in vulnerable men, recent widowers, the sick, the lonely. She approaches them through their children, seduces the children, convinces them their parents need care, and then strips them of everything. My God, there's more. Jessica has a network. She works with a lawyer, Robert Castellanos, a notary, James Pinto, and a doctor, Gregory Ramirez. Dr. Ramirez, the one who sold Ethan the fake certificate. They all work together. It's a coordinated operation, and they've destroyed at least 7 families in the last 5 years. Sarah opened her laptop, went to Instagram. And look at this. It was Jessica's profile, private, but Sarah had gotten access. I didn't ask how. The photos were of a life of luxury, expensive restaurants, 5-star hotels, jewelry, designer handbags. And in one of the photos from Thursday, I recognized something. A gold necklace with an emerald. Helen's necklace, the one I gave her for our 30th anniversary. She wore it for every special occasion. And now it was around Jessica's neck with a caption, "New vintage treasure. Antiques with history. Timeless luxury." I felt like I was choking. "She's selling Helen's things." "Not just that," said Sarah. "Look at the comments." There were dozens, people asking for prices, interested in buying, and Jessica responding, "Available, DM for details." She's using Instagram as a storefront, and there are more things from your house here. Look, she showed me more photos. My mother's vase, the porcelain plates, the embroidered curtains, all tagged, put up for sale as if they were trash. "Mr. Miller," said David, "Jessica isn't just Ethan's wife. She's the mastermind behind all of this. She sought him out, seduced him, used him, and she'll probably discard him when he's no longer useful. And Ethan, did he know? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe he was a victim at first and then became an accomplice. What I do know is that they are both guilty, and they are both going to pay." David took out more papers. I contacted the other families, Jessica's victims. 3 of them agreed to testify. Their stories are identical to yours. Houses emptied, bank transfers, fake medical certificates, conservatorships, all the same. Same pattern, same players. And that helps us. It helps us a lot because it shows this isn't an isolated case. It's a criminal pattern, a criminal enterprise. And that makes it easier to get arrest warrants, frozen accounts, and harsher sentences. Sarah closed her laptop. She looked at me. "Mr. Miller, there's something else you should know." "What?" "My grandfather, the one I told you about. The reason I'm helping." I nodded. "He was one of Jessica's victims." I froze. "What?" "4 years ago, Jessica approached my uncle, my grandfather's son. She seduced him. They got married, and within 6 months my grandfather was in a nursing home without money, without a house, without anything. He died a year later, broken, alone, convinced his family had abandoned him. When we tried to help, it was too late. Jessica had disappeared, and my uncle was destroyed. He killed himself 6 months later." Sarah's voice broke. "I was 20. I didn't understand, I didn't know, and I hate myself for it. For not doing more, for not saving him." I took her hand. "It wasn't your fault. Yes, it was, because I had the chance and I didn't take it. But now I have it again, with you, and I'm not going to waste it." David stood up. "Mr. Miller, this is no longer just your case. It's a case against a criminal organization, and I've already contacted the DA's office. They're interested, very interested, because if we can dismantle this network, we could save many other families. What they need from me is your testimony, your recording, and your courage. Because this is going to get ugly. Jessica and her partners are going to fight. They're going to try to intimidate you, threaten you, discredit you. They're going to say you're crazy, that it's all a lie, that the recording is fake. They're going to use every resource they have. I don't care. Are you sure?" "Yes, because if I don't do it for myself, I'll do it for Sarah's grandfather, for the other victims, for all those who couldn't defend themselves." David smiled. "Good, because we're going to need that determination, that anger." He crouched down, looked me straight in the eye. "Mr. Miller, we are going to destroy them all, but I need you to trust me completely. Can you do that?" "Yes, I can." We spent the next 3 hours going over everything. David explained the plan. On Monday, we would file the criminal complaint against Ethan, Jessica, the lawyer Robert Castellanos, the notary James Pinto, and Dr. Gregory Ramirez. 5 people, all connected, all guilty. We would also request immediate injunctive relief, freezing of accounts, prohibition on selling assets, a restraining order. "And there's something else," said David. "We're going to make this public, very public. We're going to contact the media, newspapers, television, social media. We're going to expose Jessica, show her network, warn other families. Is that legal?" "Completely. And it's necessary because if we don't, she'll continue. She'll find another victim, another Ethan, another family. And my son, what will happen to him when this goes public?" David looked at me seriously. "He will be humiliated, socially destroyed. He'll probably lose his job, his friends, everything. Can you live with that?" The question hurt, because the answer was yes. Yes, I could live with that, and that scared me. What had I become? When did I stop being the father who forgave everything and become the man who wanted to destroy his own son? But then I remembered Ethan's smile at the camera. The text from Saturday. "Don't contact me again." Helen's jewelry on Jessica's neck. And the answer became clearer. I wasn't destroying my son. My son was already destroyed. I was just defending myself. "Yes," I said finally, "I can live with that." Sarah put her hand on my shoulder. "Mr. Miller, why are we doing this? What is it you really want?" I thought for the first time. I really thought. "I don't want revenge," I said slowly. I want Ethan to look at me and feel shame. I want him to know that what he did was wrong, that he destroyed me, and that despite everything I got up, I fought, and I won. That's what I want." David packed his papers. "All right. Tomorrow at 8 a.m. we'll meet at the courthouse. Bring the USB drive, bring your ID, and bring your courage, because you're going to need it." He left, leaving me with Sarah. She stayed a little longer in silence, just sitting with me. On the empty floor. "Are you scared?" she asked. "Yes. Of what? That this won't work? That in the end Ethan will win and I'll end up in a nursing home, alone, like your grandfather? It won't happen." "How do you know?" "Because this time there's someone fighting back. This time there's someone who refuses to disappear. And that person is you." She stood up. "Get some rest, Mr. Miller. Tomorrow, the war begins." And she left, leaving me there in my empty house, with the weapons finally in my hands and ready to fight. I went to bed early that night. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan as a child, as a teenager, as an adult, all the versions of him passing before me like a film. And I wondered where I went wrong, at what point I lost him. Was it when I chose to work double shifts instead of going to his soccer game? Was it when Helen got sick and I shut myself away in my grief and left him alone? Was it before that? Was it always there? Maybe Ethan always had this inside him, this capacity to destroy, and I just didn't see it, or didn't want to see it, because parents don't want to see the bad in their children. We want to believe they're good, that they're better than us, that the world won't break them. But sometimes we're wrong, and by the time we realize it, it's too late. I got off the floor, went to the kitchen, got some water, and looked out the window, the empty street, the silent night, and I thought of Helen, of what she would say if she were here. "Arthur, children are only loaned. Children are only to us. They come through us, not for us. And sometimes, just sometimes, we have to let them go, even if it hurts, even if it kills us." Maybe Helen was right. Maybe it was time to let go. Not of the Ethan that was, he no longer existed, but of the Ethan I believed him to be, the son I imagined, the son who was never real. And to accept that the man who remained was a stranger, someone I didn't know, someone capable of things I never imagined, and that was okay, because I was no longer his. Father, I no longer had that responsibility. I no longer had to protect him. I no longer had to save him. I only had to save myself. And that, finally, was what I was going to do. On Monday at 8 in the morning, we filed the complaint, David, Sarah, and I at the courthouse. The assigned prosecutor was named Edward Morris, a serious man in his 40s. He reviewed everything, the recording, the documents, the testimonies of the other victims. And when he finished, he looked at me and said, "Mr. Miller, this is solid, very solid. We will proceed with immediate criminal charges." 2 days later, on Wednesday, the court summons arrived. Preliminary hearing, Friday at 10 a.m. In criminal court number 3, Ethan and Jessica were officially notified, and according to David, Ethan hired the most expensive lawyer in the city, Robert Beltran, a guy known for defending impossible cases and winning them. "Don't worry," David told me. "Beltran is good, but we have the truth, and the truth always wins, eventually." That word, eventually, gave me chills. On Friday, I arrived at the courthouse at 9:30. David was already there with Sarah and the 3 victims, who were going to testify. Older men like me, with the same broken looks, the same stories. We greeted each other without words, just nods, because we all knew we had all been through the same hell. At 10:05, we entered the small courtroom, grey walls, fluorescent lights, the smell of dampness and old paper. There were 3 rows of wooden benches. We sat in the front, David beside me, Sarah behind. And then I heard the door open, footsteps, voices, and I knew without turning. Ethan had arrived. My heart sped up, my hands started to sweat. I hadn't seen him since that Saturday, since he emptied my house, since he destroyed me. And now I was going to face him, with no escape, no lies, just the truth. I turned slowly, and there he was, Ethan, in a dark suit, blue tie, hair combed, shaved. He looked like a businessman, successful, respectable, nothing like the monster I knew. Beside him, Jessica, black dress, heels, perfect makeup, as if she were at a social gathering, not a criminal hearing. And behind them, the lawyer Beltran, tall, imposing, with a confident smile that made me sick. Ethan saw me. Our eyes met, and for a second, just a second, I saw something. Fear, regret, shame, I don't know. Because he immediately looked away and sat on the other side of the room, as far away from me as possible, as if I were the criminal, as if I were the threat. All rise. Judge Hernan Palmer is presiding. We all stood up. The judge entered. A man in his 60s, white hair, thick glasses, serious expression. He sat down, reviewed the papers in front of him, and spoke. "Good morning. We are here for the preliminary hearing in case 20-25-36847, the People versus Ethan Miller and Jessica Clark, for the crimes of aggravated theft, fraud, forgery of documents, and conspiracy." His voice was deep, authoritative. "Before we proceed, I ask, is there any possibility of a settlement between the parties?" Beltran stood up. "Yes, Your Honor. My client is willing to reach an agreement. He acknowledges there were misunderstandings and is willing to return certain disputed assets in exchange for dropping the charges." The judge looked at me. "Mr. Arthur Miller." David touched my arm. I stood up. "No, Your Honor. There is no possible agreement." The judge nodded. "Very well, let's proceed. Mr. Morris, present your evidence." The prosecutor stood up, connected a laptop to a projector, and my empty living room appeared on the wall. And then the video began. Everyone in the room fell silent, watching, listening. We saw Ethan and Jessica enter. We saw the boxes, the bags. We saw how they packed everything, how they laughed. And then came the kitchen part, the conversation. "Did you sign the papers yet? I have an appointment at the notary's tomorrow. File them on Monday, and if he refuses, he won't be able to refuse. I have everything. The fake messages, the neighbor's testimonies, the medical certificate." "What medical certificate?" "I paid Dr. Ramirez $1,000. The silence in the room was absolute, heavy, suffocating. I looked at Ethan. He was pale, head bowed, hands clenched on the table. Jessica stared straight ahead, expressionless, as if none of this had anything to do with her. The video continued. We saw Ethan faking the messages on my phone. We saw Jessica trying on Helen's jewelry. We saw everything, every second, every word, every betrayal. When it finished, the judge turned off the projector, took off his glasses, cleaned them slowly, and spoke. "Mr. Ethan Miller, do you have anything to say?" Silence. Long, heavy. Ethan didn't move. Beltran whispered something in his ear. Ethan shook his head. "Mr. Miller, I asked you a question. Do you have anything to say in your defense?" Ethan raised his head. Slowly, he looked at me for the first time since he entered the room, and he spoke. His voice came out hoarse, broken. It was supposed to be ours. Everyone was quiet. "What did he say?" asked the judge. "It was supposed to be ours. The house, the money, everything, Mom, was gone. And he pointed at me. He was going to die alone anyway, in a few years, maybe months. Why wait? Why pretend he cared when he never cared?" I stood up without thinking, without planning. "How can you say that?" My voice came out louder than I expected. "Mr. Miller, please." The judge tried to calm me, but I couldn't. "Not in that moment. I never cared about you. I raised you when your mother worked double shifts. I took you to school. I helped you with your homework. I taught you how to ride a bike, how to use tools, how to be a man. And you say I never cared?" Ethan stood up too. Now both of us on our feet, face to face. "You were never there. Always working. Always at the workshop. Mom raised me alone while you hid at work. I worked to feed you, to pay for your school, to give you a roof over your head. I didn't ask for any of that. I just asked for you to be there, to see me, but you never did. Order. Order in the court." The judge banged his gavel hard, repeatedly. "Gentlemen, sit down. Immediately. I sat down, shaking, breathing fast. Ethan sat down too, with tears in his eyes, and I didn't know if they were real or an act. I didn't know anything about my son anymore. "Mr. Miller," said the judge, "are you admitting to the charges?" Beltran stood up quickly. "Your Honor, my client is under a great deal of stress. He's not in a condition to—" "Yes," Ethan interrupted him. "Yes, I admit it. I did everything the video shows. Everything. But it wasn't out of malice. It was because I was suffering too. Mom died. And Dad closed himself off. He wouldn't let me help him. He wouldn't let me get close. And Jessica, she just wanted to help. She convinced me it was the best for both of us." "For both of you?" asked the prosecutor, "including the part where you planned to put him in a nursing home and sell his house." Ethan didn't answer, just lowered his head again. And in that moment I knew. I knew there was no real remorse, only self-pity, only excuses. Attempts to justify the unjustifiable. The judge spoke again. "Mr. Miller, do you wish to add anything before I rule on the pretrial measures?" I stood up slowly. I walked towards Ethan. David tried to stop me, but I wouldn't let him. I reached his table. I stood in front of him, so close I could see every detail of his face, the new wrinkles, the dark circles, the poorly shaved beard. And I spoke low, just for him. "I forgive you, Ethan." His eyes widened in surprise, because that's what fathers do. They always forgive, even when they shouldn't, even when it hurts. I leaned closer. "But listen to me carefully. You are no longer my son. I don't know what you are, but you are not my son. Because my son died the day you walked into my house with those boxes, the day you decided my life was worthless. I lost him that day, and he is never coming back." I straightened up. "So yes, I forgive you, but never ever call yourself my son again." I turned around, walked back to my seat and sat down without looking back, without turning around. The judge spoke. He issued the rulings, a freeze on their accounts, a prohibition from approaching me, a prohibition from selling any property related to the case, an order to return all stolen items within 72 hours, bail set at $50,000 each, and a date for the trial. 3 months later. It all happened fast, blurry, like a dream or a nightmare. And when the judge banged his gavel for the last time and said, "This court is adjourned," I was already on my feet, walking towards the exit. David followed me, Sarah too. And when I crossed that threshold, when I left that room, I felt something strange. Liberation. Not happiness, not victory, just liberation, as if a weight I had been carrying for years without realizing it had been lifted. Outside the courthouse, there were reporters, cameras, microphones. David had called them, as promised. They surrounded us. "Mr. Miller, how do you feel? What message do you have for other families? Will you forgive your son?" The questions came from all sides. I only said one thing, just one. If anyone is going through this, if anyone feels their family is betraying them, don't stay silent. Speak up, seek help, because you matter. Your life matters. And no one, not even your own blood, has a right to take that away from you. And I walked away, slowly, with David on one side, Sarah on the other, leaving the courthouse behind, leaving Ethan behind, leaving behind the son who was never what I thought he was. And even though it hurt, even though it burned in my chest, even though I felt something inside me had broken forever, I also felt that for the first time in weeks I could breathe, I could walk with my head held high, I could be myself again, shameless, guiltless, fearless. Just me. Arthur Miller, 68 years old, carpenter, widower, survivor. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my armchair. Not the old one they took, this one's new. Bought at a flea market, used but comfortable. It cost $30. It cost everything I had at that moment, but it was worth it because now I have somewhere to sit, somewhere to rest, somewhere to watch the TV. I also bought a small 20-inch, but it works. The house isn't empty anymore, not full like before, but it has the essentials: a bed, a table, 2 chairs, pots, plates, silverware, all bought little by little with the money Ethan had to return to me. Not all of it, because much was lost, sold, disappeared, but enough to start over, to live again. The walls aren't bare anymore. There are new photos, but they're not of Helen, they're not of Ethan, they're of Sarah, of David, of Mr. Peterson, of the people who stayed, who helped me, who saved me. The trial was 2 weeks ago. Ethan was convicted, 3 years, but the judge gave him house arrest, considering he had no prior record. He has to pay a fine of $25,000, plus full restitution for everything stolen, plus another $15,000 for emotional damages. Jessica wasn't so lucky. She went to prison 5 years, no house arrest, because it was proven she had done the same thing to 7 other families. She was a repeat offender, a professional criminal. Dr. Ramirez lost his medical license. The lawyer Castellanos is under investigation. The notary Pinto was suspended. The whole network fell apart, and it all started with my case, with my recording, with my decision not to stay silent. David told me after the sentencing, "Mr. Miller, you saved a lot of families without knowing it, just by fighting, just by refusing to disappear." Ethan tried to talk to me after the sentence. He sent me messages, called, even came to the house, knocked on the door. "Dad, please, I need to talk to you." I was inside, listening. "Dad, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I made a mistake, a horrible mistake, but I'm still your son. I'm still Ethan, please." He knocked for 10 minutes, then gave up, left, and I stayed there on the other side of the door with tears in my eyes, because yes, it hurt. Of course it hurt. He was my son, my blood. But Helen told me something once, many years ago, when Ethan was a teenager and had lied to us about something. I don't remember what, but I remember what Helen said. "Arthur, family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who stays, who chooses to stay. Even when it's hard, even when it hurts, that's real family," and she was right, as always. Now I visit Sarah every week. We go to lunch. She pays because I still don't have much money, but I always bring dessert, homemade cookies, or a cake I make on my old stove, and we talk about everything, about nothing. She tells me about her work, her boyfriends, her dreams, and I listen like a grandfather, because that's what I am to her now. And she's like a granddaughter to me, the family I chose, the family that stayed. I also visit David at his office. We have coffee, and he tells me about his cases, about other people like me who are fighting against children, against siblings, against families that betrayed them. And I send messages to them through David. "Don't give up. You matter. Your life matters. Fight," and some do, and they win, and they write to me afterwards, thanking me, and I tell them, "Don't thank me. Thank yourselves for being brave." A month ago, David asked me for something. "Mr. Miller, there's a support group for elderly victims of family abuse. They meet every Thursday at a church downtown. Would you like to go, maybe talk, share your story, give hope to others?" The first time I just listened. There were about 20 people, all over 60, all with the same looks, the same stories, children who stole, families who betrayed, lives that were destroyed. And when it was my turn to speak, I didn't know what to say. I fell silent, paralyzed. But then a lady, a Mrs. Amparo, took my hand. "Tell us, don't be afraid, we all understand here." And I did. I told them everything from the beginning, and when I finished, everyone was crying. But not from sadness, from something else, recognition, validation, knowing they weren't alone. Now I go every Thursday, and each time I speak a little more. I share what I learned, what I survived, and some listen and decide to fight. Others just need to know that they're not crazy. That what happened to them was real and wrong, and that it wasn't their fault. The day before yesterday, a lady, a Mrs. Beatrice, thanked me. Mr. Miller, because of your story, I dared to report my daughter. Today, I got my house back, I got my life back. And she hugged me tight, and I cried because I realized something. My pain wasn't in vain. My suffering served a purpose to save me and to save others, and that somehow gives meaning to everything. Helen used to say, "Arthur, life gives you tests, and sometimes you pass, and sometimes you don't. But the important thing isn't passing or failing, it's what you learn and what you do with it." And I learned. I learned that dignity is non-negotiable, that love doesn't justify abuse, that forgiving doesn't mean forgetting, and that sometimes letting go is the only way to survive. The security camera is still there in the corner of the ceiling. The little red light is still blinking. Sometimes I look at it and I thank it because that camera saved my life. Helen installed it without knowing that one day it would be my only defense, my only proof, my only voice when no one was listening to me. And somehow it was Helen saving me even after she was gone, even when she was no longer there, because that was the kind of woman she was. She thought of everything, prepared for everything, even the worst. And she left me the tools to survive, to fight, to win. Sometimes I talk to her out loud. "Helen, I did it. I survived. I don't know how, but I did. And I feel like she hears me from somewhere, and that she's proud." A week ago, Ethan came back. He knocked on the door again, this time with a letter. He left it in the mailbox. I read it that night. It said, "Dad, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness. I know I destroyed everything, but I want you to know that I regret it every single day. Every day I wake up and remember what I did, and I hate myself. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just hope that one day you can remember me as I was before, when I was a child, when you still loved me, when we were still a family. I love you. I have always loved you, even if it doesn't seem like it. Ethan." I read the letter 3 times, and then I put it in a drawer with the old photos of Ethan as a child, the few I got back. I didn't throw it away, but I didn't respond either because I still don't know what to say. I still don't know if there's anything to say. Maybe one day, maybe never. I don't know. And it's okay not to know. Last night I had a dream. I was in my house, but it wasn't empty. It was full with all the furniture, with all of Helen's things, and she was there, alive, smiling. "Arthur, why are you crying?" she asked me. "Because I miss you, because everything is so hard without you." "I know, but you're doing well. You're fighting, you're living, that's what matters. And Ethan chose his path. You can't save him, only he can save himself. Your job was to be his father, and you were. For better or worse, you were. And that's over. Now your job is to be you, to live your life, to be happy for yourself, for me, for all who love you." I woke up crying, but also smiling, because she was right. Helen was always right. My job was no longer to be Ethan's father. That was finished. Now my job was to be Arthur, and that was enough. Today is Thursday, support group day. I'm getting ready to leave. I put on a clean shirt, comb my hair, look at myself in the mirror, and I see a different man. Not the one from 3 months ago. That man was broken, destroyed, hopeless. This man has scars, he has pain, he has memories that will never fade, but he also has strength, he has dignity, he has purpose, and that, after all, is more than I ever thought I would have. I leave the house, lock the door, always locked, because Ethan doesn't have a copy anymore. He has no access, he has no power over me, and I walk to the bus stop, with my head held high, with the sun on my face, with the certainty that I survived. And that in itself is a victory. If one day Ethan comes back, I'll be here, in my house, with my things, with my life rebuilt. And the door will be closed, not with anger, not with hatred, just with boundaries, with the certainty that some doors, once closed, must stay that way to protect us, to heal us, to remind us that we deserve respect, even from our own blood, especially from our own blood. And if that makes me bad, if that makes me cruel, then so be it, because I learned that taking care of yourself isn't selfishness, it's survival, and I chose to survive. And you, what would you do if something like this happened to you? Have you ever had to choose between forgiveness and protecting your dignity? Have you ever been betrayed by someone who swore to love you? Tell me in the comments. I want to know your story. I want to know I'm not alone in this. If this story touched your heart, leave me a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel, because every week I share real stories that could be yours. Stories of pain, but also of hope, of falling, but also of getting back up. And never forget this. Family isn't who shares your blood. Family is who stays, who chooses to stay even when everything falls apart. That's the family worth having. Thank you for listening to the end. I'll see you in the next story. Take care, and remember, your life always matters.